Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Bracha Janaranjana Yashodanandana Bracha Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Shodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Lalita Vishaka Jayo Lalita Vishaka Lalita Vishaka Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Nitai Gora Sundar Nitai Gora Sundar Nitai Gora Sundar Gora Hari Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtadarshata Shima His Divine Grace is Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtadarshata Shima His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna. Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Gangamai Ki Jai, Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samavita Bhakti Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Haribo. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru Garanga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Good morning, dear devotees. Hare Krishna. We read in from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, chapter 18. Chapter is called The Residents of Jambudvipa Offer Prayers. Text number 9. Swasti astu vishvasya kala prasidatam dhyayantu bhutani shivam mithodaya manascha badram bhajata tathokshaje aveshyatam no matirapi haituki. Swastyastu vishvasya kala prasidatam dhyayantu bhutani shivamithodaya manascha badram bhajatat tathokshaje aveshyatam namatir apyahaituki. Swastyastu vishvasya kala prasidatam dhyayantu bhutani shivamithodaya manascha badram bhajatat tathokshaje aveshyatam namit mamatirapyahaituki. Word-to-word translation. Swasti, auspiciousness. Astu, let there be. Vishvasya, of the entire universe. Kalaha, the envious almost everyone. Prasidatam, let them be pacified. Dhyayantu, let them consider. Bhutani, all the living entities. Shivam, auspiciousness. Mitaha, mutual. Dhiya, by their intelligence. Manaha, the mind. Cha and Badram, calmness. Bhajatat, let it experience. Adhokshaje, in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is beyond the perception of mind, intelligence, and senses. Aveshyatam, let it be absorbed. Naha, our. Matihi, intelligence. Api, indeed. Ahaituki, without any motive. Translation. May there be good fortune throughout the universe, and may all envious persons be pacified. May all living entities become calm by practicing bhakti yoga, for by accepting devotional service, they will think of each other's welfare. Therefore, let us all engage in the service of the Supreme Transcendence, Lord Sri Krishna, and always remain absorbed in thought of him. Purport. The following verse describes a Vaishnava, Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Just like a desire tree, a Vaishnava can fulfill all the desires of anyone who takes shelter of his lotus feet. Prahlad Maharaj is a typical Vaishnava. He prays not for himself, but for all living entities, the gentle, the envious, and the mischievous. He always thought of the welfare of mischievous persons like his father, Hiranyakashipu. Prahlad Maharaj did not ask for anything for himself. Rather, he prayed for the Lord to excuse his demoniac father. This is the attitude of a Vaishnava, who always thinks of the welfare of the entire universe. Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavata Dharma are meant for persons who are completely free of envy. Parama Nirmatsaranam. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj prays in this verse, Kala prasidatam. Material world is full of envious persons, but if one frees himself of envy, he becomes liberal in his social dealings and can think of others' welfare. Anyone who takes up Krishna consciousness and engages himself completely in the service of the Lord cleanses his mind of all envy. Manascha bhadram bhajatata thokshaje. Therefore, we should pray to Lord Nrsimhadeva to sit in our hearts. We should pray, let Lord Nrsimhadeva sit in the core of my heart, killing all my bad propensities. Let my mind become clean, so that I may peacefully worship the Lord and bring peace to the entire world. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has given us a very fine purport in this regard. Whenever one offers a prayer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one always requests some benediction from him. Even pure Nishkama devotees pray for some benediction, as instructed by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Shikshashtaka. Vishame bhava budhau kripaya tava parapankaja sthiti duli sadrisham vichintaya. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from the ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. In another prayer, Lord Chaitanya says, Mama Janmani Janmanishware Bhavatad Bhakti Rahai Tuki Tvai. Life after life, kindly let me have unalloyed love and devotion at your Lordship's lotus feet. When Prahlad Maharaj chants Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya, he prays for a benediction from the Lord, but because he is also an exalted Vaishnava, he wants nothing for his personal sense gratification. The first desire expressed in his prayer is Swastyastu Vishwasya, let there be good fortune throughout the entire universe. Prahlad Maharaj thus requested the Lord to be merciful to everyone, including his father, a most envious person. According to Chanakya Pandita, there are two kinds of envious living entities. One is a snake, and the other is the man like Hiranyakashipu, who is by nature envious of everyone, even of his father or son. Hiranyakashipu was envious of his little son Prahlad, but Prahlad Maharaj asked a benediction for the benefit of his father. Hiranyakashipu was very envious of devotees, but Prahlada wished that his father and other demons like him would give up their envious nature by the grace of the Lord and stop harassing the devotees. Kala prasidatam. The difficulty is that the kala, envious living entities, so kala is kala, is rarely pacified. One kind of kala, the snake, can be pacified simply by mantras or by action of a particular herb. Mantra ushadi vasha sarpaha kalakena nivyarayate. An envious person, however, cannot be pacified by any means. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj prays that all envious persons may undergo a change of heart and think of the welfare of others. If the Krishna conscious movement spread all over the world, and if by the grace of Krishna everyone accepts it, the thinking of envious people will change. Everyone will think of the welfare of others. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj prays, Shivam mithodhiya. In material activities, everyone is envious of others, but in Krishna consciousness, no one is envious of anyone else. Everyone thinks of the welfare of others. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj prays that everyone's mind may become gentle by being fixed at the lotus feet of Krishna, Bhajatad Athokshaji. As indicated elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam, Savai Mana Krishna Paradaravindayo, and as advised by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 1865, Manmana Bhagavad Bhakta, one should constantly think of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Then one's mind will certainly be cleansed, Chetadarpana Marjanam. Materialists always think of sense gratification. But Prahlad Maharaj prays that the Lord's mercy will change their minds and they will stop thinking of sense gratification. If they think of Krishna always, everything will be all right. Some people argue that if everyone thought of Krishna in this way, the whole universe would be vacated because everyone would go back home, back to Godhead. However, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that this is impossible because the living entities are innumerable. If one set of living entities is actually delivered by the Krishna conscious movement, another set will fill the entire universe. End of the purpose. So let's read the verse again. Swastyastu vishwasya khala prasidatam dayantu bhutani shiva mithodaya manascha badram bhajata tathokshaje aveshyatam no matir apyahaituki. May there be good fortune throughout the universe, and may all envious persons be pacified. May all living entities become calm by practicing bhakti yoga, for by accepting devotional service they will think of each other's welfare. Therefore, let us all engage in the service of the Supreme Transcendence, Lord Shri Krishna, and always remain absorbed in thought of Him. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayarupa Kadamahyam Yadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vichakam Vitam Shcha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyayevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pashtaya Bhutale Vimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunavadi Paschatya Deshatadine. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So it's a wonderful verse today, quite famous actually. There are a few like this. A very selfless prayer, not for imitation, but for inspiration. I think, if I remember correctly from one of the Prabhupada memories, that one Vaishnavi, one lady, asked Srila Prabhupada if she can pray for the whole world, for all living beings. That's out of the sentiment that she had. And I don't know, I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember exactly how Srila Prabhupada replied, but the idea was that, who are you to pray for the whole world? You know, are you a benefactor? Are you, you know? So it sounded like, you know, it's a very selfless attitude. Let me pray for all living entities. But actually, are we in the position even to pray for all living entities? In other words, is our heart clean or free from envy? Because such prayer can genuinely be prayed or said by a true Vaishnava whose heart is very pure and clean. Before that, we can recite such prayers, and we can be inspired by them and aspire for them, but maybe it's not yet our level to say such a thing. Because if we go back down to the earth, so to say, we can analyze very quickly, are we wishing well to those who are nearby us, to the Vaishnavas? How are we dealing with Vaishnavas? How are we dealing with devotees? How are we dealing with our own family members? And just by examining just that situation, we can very quickly understand, you know, what is our level. of bhakti. For the Lord, Simho, Hridaya Simho. Maybe we should pray for Lord Nrsimhadev to invite him into our heart, to clean the heart first, so that that heart can generate more selfless prayers later. Because first we have to save ourselves, so to say. And of course, envy is is the root of all the sins, or it's the root of all the offenses. One devotee asked me recently, 2 days ago, why do we make offenses? What is the root of us making offenses? Actually, the root cause is us being envy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's just, envy is such a subtle emotion or feeling or a state of consciousness, state of being, that we don't even recognize that we have it. As Prabhupada says here in word-to-word translation, Kalaha, the envious, and in brackets, almost everyone. Especially in Kali Yuga, this is the place of envious souls who don't want anything to do with the Lord, who are envy of the Lord, and that's why they want to be the controllers and they want to be the enjoyers. In other words, to take over the position of the Lord. Of course, in such situations like Hiranyakashipu, it's so clearly and vividly illustrated that he's envious of the Lord, and as a result, envious of everybody else, that he wants to conquer all the demigods, subdue them, and because he's envious of the Lord, he wants even to change the dharma laws that are established by the Lord and maintained by demigods. And that is, he wanted to make a dharma glorious, and dharma inglorious, infamous. In other words, he wanted that to do like this, that if you commit sinful activities, adharma activities, you get promoted to the heavenly planets. And if you commit pious activities, you'll be placed in the hellish planets. Vice versa, he wanted to change the structure of the universe, how it works, including the laws and all the demigods that are, making those laws in execution and followed and maintained. So that's how ambitious and snake-like envious Hiranyakashipu was. And he was even envious of his relatives if they were not intact or in line with his desires and propaganda and ambitions. So Prahlad Maharaj, little boy, and see what he was doing, trying to kill him. Those are very rude offenses. When we circumambulate Tulsi Maharani, we say this prayer, Yanikani Chapapani, that every step, by circumambulating Tulsi Devi, with every step, we getting rid of so many offenses, even the offense of killing a Brahmana, which is considered to be the topmost. And of course, Vaishnava is even more high than the Brahmana. So that's like, I don't know if there is any repentance that can rectify the situation of such an offense, actually. So, very, very hard situation. But it's in the purport, it's very clear that, we all are in such situation that the envy is there. There was one anecdote describing the hellish and heavenly arrangement. So, one man, I forgot how it goes, but anyway, the point was that either an angel or God wanted to show one soul, and he could choose between hell and heaven because he was like something in between, and he could choose. And so a man was brought to the room where people, it was a hellish room or hellish realm. People were sitting, they had a beautiful dining table. Everything was with food. The only problem was that instead of hands, they had spoons out of their hands. Long spoons, not small spoons, long spoons. And so these people were grabbing the food, but they couldn't put it into the mouth because the spoon was too long. So they were trying, and they were hungry, and they were all suffering, sitting there, luxurious food, all their best preparations to satisfy their tongue, but they couldn't eat. It was a torture. And so they went to the other room, which was a heavenly room. And to his surprise, the situation was exactly the same. It was a dining table. There were people with spoons. But what they were doing, they were taking the food with spoons and feeding each other. So this is it. Either hell or heaven. It's all about our consciousness. The Krishna consciousness is a consciousness of I'm thinking of the welfare of others. Material consciousness, I'm thinking of my own sense enjoyment. This is a big difference, a huge difference. Hellish and heavenly mentality difference. Another anecdote is a Vaishnava related and was told by devotees, maybe even Srila Prabhupada actually, that there was a fire in the neighborhood, and there was different kind of people in the neighborhood who died in that fire. And there was a nice brahmana in that one of the buildings, and in another building there was a prostitute. And when they all died, second, where you go? I know I'm Brahmin. I'm being, I'm doing the rituals and everything. I live pious life. Why you bring me to hell? You must have mistaken. There's a lady across my building is a prostitute. I think you just, knocked on the wrong door. I said, no, we got the right person. And prostitute, the Vishnu were bringing to the spiritual world. And she was like, oh, hold on a second. You must have knocked on the wrong door. There's a brahmana in the other building. He's a pious man. I'm, my profession, I'm not deserving this. They said, no, we're bringing you to spiritual world. So this is like, just can you clarify to us? Both of them asked to each respective party. And they clarified. The clarification was that because they see each other's window, they knew exactly what the other was doing. So when prostitute saw the brahmana worshiping the deity and like that, she was always glorifying him and thinking, oh, such a nice holy man. I'm so degraded, I'm so fallen. But this man, so nice to see him from my window, can always purify my eyes by seeing him doing such wonderful activities, such a holy name. So she was always praising him and quite often thinking of him by seeing him doing the puja and like that. Whereas the brahmana, he saw the prostitute and he was always condemning her. Oh, such a fallen woman. Just look at her. Always having these night affairs and being the night worker. She always, has her customers there, one after the other, one after the other. And so he was constantly thinking of her and her sinful activities. So the state of mind of two of them was, one was thinking of abominable, sinful activities and, cursing and condemning and like that, and being fully absorbed in that consciousness. Whereas the other was glorifying the Lord and the Vaishnava and, a Brahmana. So based on, and Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita in 8th chapter that whatever you think of in the time of death, that state of consciousness you will attain. So we will not be able to cheat at that last moment. What will be prominent in our thinking, that state we will attain. So we better start thinking of devotees and spiritual master and Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like Prahlad Maharaj prays here, let us always think of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's hard to think of the lotus feet because we don't remember how they even look like and how to, but we certainly can hear a lot of pastimes about the Lord, and gradually every single pastime will purify our consciousness and our hearts. That's the power, that's the potency of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is not meant for analytical, or let's put it this way, not meant just for the analytical, intellectual thinking. Srimad Bhagavatam is a rasa shastra. Something happens when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, that taste of dealings between devotees and the Lord, and specifically the 10th canto, the different Lord's pastimes, they're so potent that just by reading them and hearing them, especially from devotees who are non-envious, it sinks right into the heart and does something there which produces this rasa, this taste that all of a sudden you get attracted and attached to. So if we just examine Srimad Bhagavatam just from intellectual perspective only, we may not be able to attain any benefit. We may just examine it from the kind of scientific point of view. I know of a person who knows the person who has written a PhD work on Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's not a devotee, on Srila Prabhupada's Srimad Bhagavatam. and that person, that lady, she's not a devotee. So that may happen like this. Whereas we have to be very open when we reach from, but we have to have a faith. Everything is faith-based anyway, because, like simple examples, when you sit in a plane, you have a faith in a pilot. When you go to the surgeon, you have a faith in a doctor. You have faith, otherwise you wouldn't be exposing yourself to such situations. So we have to have a faith in the words of Acharyas that Srimad Bhagavatam is saturated with love of Godhead, and that those words, those descriptions, will actually purify our heart, because the Lord is present there. He will purify our heart. And that's why Srila Prabhupada, apart from first canto, almost immediately he translated the 10th canto in a form of Krishna book. He was worrying, first of all, that he might not have enough time. And that's summum bonum. This is the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam, the 10th canto. And this is the most potent remedy for the hearts of the fallen conditioned souls. This is how we actually get purified, and this is our means of the proper diet to get healed of our envy and all other anarthas that we have in our hearts. But the prime core is envy. So when we do that, then this miracle of purification of heart happens when we listen with an open heart, when we allow Srimad Bhagavatam to enter and bypass all the layers of our mind, intelligence, false ego. Psychologists would say it goes through the consciousness to subconsciousness, like very deep, passes all the layers and penetrate, and satisfies the soul. And that's who we are. And that's what devotees actually have a personal experience, a tangible taste experience of when they are exposed to chanting or hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. They realize themselves, and every single person can make this testimony that at some point, at least, either through chanting of Hare Krishna mantra or through hearing Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, they have experienced that. It's a tangible, higher taste, Param Vijayata Shri Krishna Sankirtana. There's a superior taste that wins over all other tastes that we had before. That comparison, you had that experience of that comparison. I have never experienced anything like that. And that's the higher taste. So it's very nice that Prahlad Maharaj prays for us, for all of us. We have a chance. He thinks of us. And when such Vaishnavas desire certain thing, like Srila Prabhupada desired us to become devotees, although he saw no qualification, he still desired us to become devotees. That means we have no other choice but to become devotees, sooner or later, which is so nice. This is the potency of great devotee. He was always difficult states of his personal well-being. That's the compassion. When so many devotees who were around, Abhiram Prabhu and Malkrishna Maharaj and Brahmananda, so many, Madhudvisha came, everybody got exposed to this Prabhupada's magnanimous compassion, that he would not even recognize his own pains and was always thinking of welfare of others, asking how are they doing while he was himself so badly in pain. Actually, he was asking, is everything all right? Samchas prasadam, are you not cold, you're not hot, are you sick, please take this remedy. He was giving advices like that. Once he was disturbed by the noise of the fan. He said, what is noise? What is noise? Devotees could not say. He asked, call Abhiram. I'll ask him. He knows, Abhiram came. And he asked him, what's this noise? Abhiram listened very carefully. He heard somewhere in the background, woof, woof, woof. And he realized this is the fan he was sleeping under because it was so hot. He said, Prabhupada, this is the fan I'm actually sleeping under. I'll go and switch it off immediately. No, no, Prabhupada said. If it's for your convenience, leave it, no problem. He was disturbing his sleep. He said, Prabhupada, we're not here for our own convenience. We're here for your convenience. We're trying to serve you. If we don't serve you, we serve Maya. Prabhupada said, this is but he had no consideration of personal convenience, never. From beginning of his movement in 65 until the very end in 77, was the same person, extremely compassionate, thinking of the welfare of others. He could pray for all of our welfare, and in fact for the whole universe welfare. Somebody even asked Srila Prabhupada, where would you go next? Srila Prabhupada said, I'll go to hellish planets to preach, to deliver the conditioned souls. This is not for imitation. So we should, at this point, desire to really go back to Godhead. We don't have that desire. That's the problem. We still have desire to enjoy. We even sometimes don't have desire to go to the heavenly planets because we, don't really understand. Sometimes we don't believe it exists or if it's true like this and like that. So, but we do believe if there's advertisement to go to Fiji or to Hawaii or to Caribicus or to Tenerife or whatever, Cook Islands, that we believe in. Oh yeah, sounds good. I kind of understand, enjoy my, satisfy my senses. That I relate to. But it's the same thing, heavenly, kind of earthly, heavenly enjoyments that we believe in. So we don't, we have to really study Shastra with an open heart to get the work done. Otherwise, there'll be problem at the time of death. So preaching to myself here in terms of getting attached to the Lord and to his pastimes and eventually make the life perfect. Srila Prabhupada said, those who can understand in 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Three Modes of Material Nature, he says, those who understand this science, their life will become perfect. By saying perfect, it means you will get established in mode of goodness, then from that platform you will attain Shuddha Sattva, a pure mode of goodness, and leave this world without returning, going back to Godhead. That's perfect way of living. So I'll stop here if you have any contributions and questions, comments.
Hare Krishna, dear Venu Madhurya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for class. As always, you give such well-rounded insight, peppered with great stories, illustrating the principles of Krishna consciousness. Prabhu, I have a question about Srila Prabhupada's statement in the purport, wherein he says that the material world is full of envious persons, but if one frees himself of envy, he becomes liberal in his social dealings and can think of others' welfare. What do you think that means, to become liberal in social dealings? Is that related to materialistic persons who are not Krishna conscious? What does that mean?
Yes, thank you. Very good observation. Also, when I read, I stopped there to think a little bit. And one thought that came to my mind is that, when devotees are not on a nivriti stage, sometimes they're too radical and fanatical. They trying to put everyone into the same box. So I saw Krishna consciousness, I was trained like this, and then everybody should do the same. If they don't do the same, I'm starting offending them in my mind, my words, in my actions even. And this is the not understanding a broader perspective and not having a heart clean of envy yet. So, for example, when they notice something, or this devotee doesn't chant Srila Prabhupada's pranam mantra before the class, and every time he doesn't chant. So he's proud. He's not asking for mercy of Srila Prabhupada, So we start making judgments, and we start, we may start, thinking about it first and making verbal, saying, oh, please don't associate too closely with this devotee. I'm observing certain things. But the best way to go and just to clarify this with the devotee. Whereas the often reaction is of neophyte devotees that they make certain prejudices and being rough in those dealings. They're not being liberal yet in a way that they're not being gentle and soft and accommodating. Of course, it doesn't mean we have to absorb all the philosophical deviation and say, yeah, that's all right, sure, great, do whatever, just chant Hare Krishna and be happy. I'm not saying this. What I'm saying is that Krishna consciousness is very different in many countries of the world. Externally may look sometimes quite different, but we have to see the essence, the devotion, the attachment, and if we see something which is different to how we've been trained, we can always clarify that rather than making presumptions. And with that comes the words and actions. We can start debating quite roughly about simple things, samosas versus pizzas and chocolate versus non-chocolate, and from small things we make in a drama with devotees. So that that's social dealing. Social dealings means society. So I'm just examining this point from devotional perspective, because devotees are working to get rid of the envy. So before they do fully, how to say, they're not ladies and gentlemen yet, in a full extent. So we should see how Srila Prabhupada was broad-minded, how he was, how in each, that's why those memories are so crucial of Srila Prabhupada, because we can see how practically he applies certain situations in his life. For example, he was flying in South Africa, from Kenya to South Africa, and on that flight there were a football team of South African soccer players. They just won in Kenya, and so they were very jubilant and loud and noisy, young people having fun. And then they started to smoke at some point. But this was a non-smoking section in the airplane. At that time, there were non-smoking and smoking sections in the airplane, so you could still smoke. So they started smoking, and so, when the Prabhupada's personal secretary was disturbed, why Prabhupada has to, be absorbed to this, to be exposed to this. So he called the stewardess and said, please ask them. And she asked, and they stopped smoking for a few minutes. And then they lit the cigarettes again and went for it again. So at that point, the secretary, I don't remember who was the secretary, but he became, okay, I'm taking this matter in my own hands. I'll stand up and I just, deal with them directly. And as he stood up, Prabhupada said, where are you going? I said, Prabhupada, they smoking. This is a non-smoking area. Why should? He said, if we don't practice tolerance, what is the difference between them and us if we cannot tolerate? So, it's very liberal. He's exhibiting the tolerance quality. In other cases, he would exhibit the humility qualities, Rupanuga would say in the airport, what was it? I don't know if it was New York, or I think it was New York, yeah. He said, all devotees stand up and vacate the space for the incoming passengers. And the only devotee who stood up was Srila Prabhupada to vacate the space for the incoming passengers. It's such a gentlemanly behavior, and seems that he was the only humble Vaishnava at that point. And Prabhupada, no, not you, Prabhupada, I'm referring to other devotees. I'm not sure if at that point Prabhupada joked also, am I not a devotee? But the point was that before that he was very humbly just stood up and wanted to vacate the space for the incoming passenger. But he was also flying, so he was one of the passengers. So when we learn from the real life situations, how a Vaishnava behaves, we could then understand. This is the behavior where it's very liberal, very gentle, and to all, devotees and non-devotees, because his heart is pure. And before we have that, we very, we just cannot think broadly. We categorize, and we're so unnatural with it, and being as unnatural. Of course, at the beginning, that fanaticism stage protects our bhakti. That's understandable. But we have to rise above it at some point in our devotional life. We have to become more tolerant, more humble as we grow in bhakti. In this way, be more accommodating and accepting. But at the same time, it's not like we change in philosophy. We can pray at what point how to express certain, disturbance or deviation, or address some point. But we have to find that right moment and pray to Krishna how to do it. And if we cannot do it, we have to approach senior who could do it, who has either administrative power or spiritual power over that other, for example, Vaishnava, to explain, those who have relationship to explain. And if we cannot do that, then we just have to be ourselves just the example. This will take some time for the other devotee to click what's the appropriate. But if we maintain that and we continuously being a good example, then at some point the transformation may happen for a sincere devotee. And for not sincere devotee, it will be a waste of time anyway. How can you wake up those who pretend that they're sleeping if they pretended? So this is like the two-side thing. I don't know if I'm Yashadev, please. I'm not sure if I'm answering at this point.
Yeah, such a great answer, of course. And yet another anecdotal story to illustrate it. I don't know how you have all these stories saved in your memory.
I'm just listening to Prabhupada's series, to the memories every day. That's why I have those stories. They're so nice.
I love the example of the plane. It's showing Vaishnava behavior and social dealings. It's not just exclusively for other Vaishnavas, but towards all living entities. Reminiscent of that verse, what is that verse? Sabhakta prakrita smita archayam evaharyo pujam yasharayehate natad bhakteshu chanyeshu. Chanyeshu, all other people as well, should be honored. So that's a great story to illustrate that point.
Yes. And in fact, if we do that, people are getting so inspired, that they've been recognized, honored. In Kiev temple, I remember every guest receives a garland when they come first time. They give them the little book, incense, something else. And some of those people, they never been honored like this in the whole. Imagine just an ordinary worker, comes, to this program, been invited, he doesn't know, he comes, and all of a sudden, this all respect, this garland, and a person feels like, wow, it's just, I feel so good, honored and recognized, and it buys those people, because they do it genuinely, they do it as a service, they do it really genuinely from the heart. People get so impressed. They really like it. So many people stay in this way in community of devotees. And they deserve it, also in terms of, it's a good feeling to feel welcome, because it's an emphasis of the spiritual world. It's our home. We should feel at home in temple. We should feel that connection. We are at home. We're safe in such an environment. And so whatever makes people feel safe, feel at home. Beautiful. And then, of course, I'm referring to the new people and guests. The devotees, when they are mature, they already know it's the home. So when you know you're at home, you want to do something to keep the home nice and nice and clean and nice. You already, if you live at home, you already start serving at home. So it's accommodating for the guests that are coming in. And then once the guests is becoming their home also, then you start to service at that home to run things better. So that's sometimes people like to remain forever the Hare Krishna friends, so that they get this respect all the time. I remember this is a true story. One devotee he was a devotee already. He was coming to Sunday feast, but he never took like initiation. It was like decades. And one time devotee asked, I see you for decades. Come in here on every Sunday feast. Why don't you listen to the philosophy? Said, well, I'm observing how you treat the guests and how you treat each other. And I realized I don't want to be treated like you treat each other, but I would like to be treated as you treat guests. So I decided that I'll be an eternal guest. So I could be always, treated with respect, with smiles, and with, yes. So, we have to contemplate on this. Not pointing out on others, individually, we have to make adjustments. All right, so it's 8 o'clock. If anybody would like, I'm at home, so we can still continue a little bit, but if there is anything else to say, maybe Taraka Prabhu would like to conclude.
Hare Krishna, good morning. Vinmadurya Das.
Krishna,
this is Leela
Kishori.
Kishori. Hi. Oh my goodness. Hi. I just want to say thank you. Sometimes you come to a class, and I know our Guru Maharaj often says that you get the higher taste, and the difference is if you get the taste for things in the world, you need more and more and more, but you feel like you're getting less and less and less. And in Krishna consciousness, the joy increases. And, the more we're exposed to Srimad Bhagavatam, to the association of the devotees, to Srila Prabhupada's teaching, it's just, we still want more, but you're always feeling full. And that's how this class was. It was just so filling. It was just everything you said. Every time you gave another example, it was just like, oh, that's even more. And that makes me want to chant more. That makes me want to read more. That makes me want to be in the association with the devotees more. It was like a perfect class. And I really thank you for that. And I loved your analogies. And it made me think often, especially the one you told about the Brahmana looking through the window at the prostitute and the prostitute looking at the Brahmana. And, judge, not that you be not judged. And just that sense of like the verse where it says, when you become self-realized, when you really see Krishna in everything, you'll see Krishna in the Brahmana, in the dog eater. And I was reading recently, and there was a purport where it was saying how, and I'm trying this because it's like at a very simple, easy level to do it. And that's what you did today. You gave practical tools, that it's like looking at a cup or a bowl, and it's made of clay, but you also know that it's made for a specific purpose. You're not going to use the cup like you use the bowl. You're not going to use the bowl like you use the cup. But at the end of the day, they're both made of clay, And so when I start to just think that everyone is Krishna's energy, everything is Krishna's energy, then treat it with respect, at least with respect, right? At least with respect, and with kindness and with courtesy. We can be civil with anyone if we choose to, and so at least for me, I'm trying to practice that not to judge when I see things, like you said, not to, they're smoking, it's like, just to know that these are people in distress. People do things like that because they're in distress. people hurt their own bodies because they're in distress. And to try to practice at least understanding and courtesy and kindness and civility, if I can't do anything else. When we were kids, my mom used to say, if you can't say something nice, then don't say anything. That was among us as children, how we were treating one another. So, just to go back to those simple principles, the golden rule, do unto others. And quite honestly, when Lord Jesus said, people say, as you would have them, that's not what he said. What he actually said was, do unto others as it will be done unto you, because he was talking about karma. But do unto others. Yeah, treat people and animals and trees and, treat all of these things belong to Krishna the way that I would want to be treated and the way that I would like people to treat my possessions. And that's just a jumping off point. The mode of goodness, just be kind and be civil and be gracious and try to understand. And that's what I got so much from your class today. Like, let's just try to practice that. And also, like you said, and then people will be attracted. I thought that was hilarious, the last story. Not hilarious, but like I looked at how they're treating each other and how they're treating guests, and I'd rather be a guest. And that's a really big lesson too. Like, it's not just outside of Krishna consciousness. Really, shouldn't I treat every devotee I encounter with the same graciousness that I would if our spiritual master was showing up? Shouldn't the temple always be that clean? Shouldn't we always be that kind to one another? Should it only be when somebody, a great soul is showing up? Or shouldn't we just have that same practice every day? Because what we practice is what we become, And so then when someone special or wonderful or a great soul is coming, it shouldn't be this flurry of activity. It should basically just be what happens every day. Because every day we're going to treat each other with that same kind of reverence and respect. So thank you so much for your class. It was just amazing. I always enjoy your classes. This one was just, wow.
Thank you, Lankesh. It's very important what you're saying, that feedback. And yes, it's when we are wholesome and, we will not be, usually when people are irritated with something in someone, it's usually the indication they're irritated with themselves, with something. Something is not Hare Krishna. My disciples I remember for their kindness so before it falls down again. So this is it. And if you hear Radha Maharaj's classes, sometimes they're so simple, just appealing to those basic qualities like kindness, be kind to one another, and be conscious of that. Why do you want to damage just for, even if you have the justice point, whatever, justice, just be more kind to one another, especially devotees, such a rare segment of society, people who would want to become God conscious and live according to the God, laws, etc. It's very rare in Kali Yuga, especially genuine seekers who really want to develop like that. Not formally, but genuinely. So specifically to them, but also to all. As Lord Vishnu said when Ambarish Maharaj was offended by Durvasa Muni, he said, I don't belong, you asking me to withdraw my weapon, but I'm not belonging to myself. I'm in the hearts of my devotees. I'm in cage there. I'm their prisoner. Whatever they want to do with me, they do it. So especially unalloyed devotees, this is why so especially dangerous to offend such. But then what you said also that, but everyone, certainly deserves respect. Not just deserves, they have human form of body means a chance to realize God, a qualification. Deserve respect. But also every living being, the soul is inside. As you said, dog eater, that's Brahmana sees. When a Brahmana, they see it. Elephant, they see. Same soul is there, just different body. Deserve respect. Srila Prabhupada would not cut one tree down. He would not, squeeze an insect like even mosquito until it bites. Now you kill. He's attacking. Same mosquito was flying just a minute ago. Don't. That's how. It's not like he was being genuine about it. It's not like he was joking with his disciple. He felt genuine compassion to the little ant, little even mosquito sometimes. So we have those samples to just constantly meditate, to grow and develop and live more consciously and eventually more Krishna consciously, which is very lacking, very needed. And then as a community, grow from Kanishta Adhikaris to Madhyama Adhikaris. That's where we will be really thinking of each other's well-being like that. Then we can, once we elevate from that platform, we can certainly pray for the benefit of all living entities. Before that, it may be very childhood kind of sentiment, which is nice, but let's exhibit it at least in our inner circle first, in our close environment. Let's exhibit it. Kindness, compassion, thinking and doing the welfare, selfless service, Start somewhere to change that mentality. All right. Is that enough? Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Arka Prabhu has not commented today. Right away, just thank you very much, and we'll see you. Hare Krishna.
I'm sorry, Prabhu. I want to thank you for a nice class. Excuse me. I'm still really sick. I'm just not getting over this, and so I'm especially pleased that others are contributing some comments and questions. I want to thank Yashadev for his nice question, and Lila Kishori for her nice comments. I really enjoy days when others participate in the discussion and offer comments and questions. I like to hear from others, and I feel actually pretty awkward and badly about dominating the discussion much of the time. I just want to perpetuate the discussion, and if no one else is going to speak, I feel like I have to say something. But if there are others that are prepared to say something, I really love to hear from others. pretty tired of hearing from myself. Yeah, wonderful class. Really nice class. All your classes are always wonderful. Always wonderful classes. That I can count on your classes being wonderful. Everyone is a hit. I thank you for that. And it's, I think about it, and I think about the elements that contribute to your classes being nice. And it's a combination of things. I feel pretty certain it's a combination of the fact that you do engage in a lot of hearing, so that you have lots of subject matter to share. It's fresh in your mind. You've heard, and you've heard nicely. You assimilated what you heard. You thought it over, and you're able to present it in your own words very nicely, and even entertainingly. And then it's also bolstered by considerable realization and inspiration that comes from the actual practice of Krishna consciousness. So your mood of Krishna consciousness comes across. There's a joy in your heart that comes across as you speak. You can see it in your smile. You can hear it in your chuckles, and there's a transcendental joy there, which is the nature of the uncontaminated soul. So it's always great to hear from you. And as I say, I love when others chime in. I'm always looking forward to more.
Thank you for your kind words and encouragement, Tarika Prabhu. Well, certainly far away from being uncontaminated or very small and insignificant, completely dependent on mercy of Vaishnavas like yourself. So, but your presence definitely uplifts the whole mood and atmosphere. Every time I log in, first one to see there is Tarika Prabhu and Yash Prabhu, and then I know, okay, in such presence of devotees, it's a joy to speak. Whatever little realizations that we make by mercy of Guru and Gauranga. Thank you, Tarika Prabhu. Wish you a speedy recovery in whatever that is that you're going through. It's a lot of COVID right now around, so I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully devotees can recover quickly. Okay, devotees, thank you very much again. And hear you again. Hear and see you again. Hare Krishna.